We haven't seen anything like this. You might even get away with saying that we are on the cusp of a second civil war. Some of you might say that we are already into it, that it has already begun. However you characterize it, though, we are under attack from within, and it's being bought and paid for by people from outside America, in addition to inside.
Rush Limbaugh spent years warning his listeners about the left's culture war against America. Whether he was railing against the slow creep of socialism or the insanity of identity politics, he was proven right time after time. Now, joining me now are two people very familiar with the left's ongoing assaults on America: nationally syndicated radio host Dana Loesch and Eric Metaxas, host of the Eric Metaxas Show. He's also the author of Fish Out of Water, A Search for the Meaning of Life. Dana and Eric, thank you for joining me today. Dana, I'm going to start with you. You're a woman in broadcasting. What did Rush Limbaugh mean to you?
Oh, good to see you, and good to be with you to talk about this tonight. I mean, he was like the dad of all of us, right? I mean, he was radio's dad. He was all of our dads. We all kind of came to our conservative age under Rush Limbaugh. I remember when I was a teenager and raised in a Democrat household, and when I first listened to him, I thought, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's so wrong. And then as I got older, I thought, wow, has he always been this right? Or maybe it's just, I'm like older and wiser. He's really smart. He knows his stuff. And I really appreciated it. One of the things, and you asked me specifically as a woman what I liked, is that it didn't really matter that I was a woman in broadcasting. I know that broadcasting gets a bad rap as being an old boys club, and I really disagree with that, just with my experience. I think it's definitely really everybody. It's a boys and girls club. And he never really catered to that, and he was always accessible as a broadcaster. He was entertaining. He created infotainment, and that's what really appealed to me. And I totally shamelessly cribbed the whole infotainment thing from Rush Limbaugh, and I'm not even going to apologize for it. I think he would be happy. I'm friends with his brother David. He's a very good friend of ours, and I think that he would be okay with it. But he never lectured, and he was always so entertaining. But yet you walked away really enjoying the program, but then you realize I learned so much, and I didn't even know it. This was great. So I think just, Rachel, his accessibility, I mean, for everybody.
Yeah, and the hours flew by. I mean, it's a 3-hour program every single day, and, they just flew by. Eric, you actually met Rush Limbaugh, right?
Did I? Yes, I did. I met him once in 2004. It was during the primaries, the GOP primaries, and it looked like McCain was going to get the nomination. So I met Rush, and what do you blurt out when you meet a legend and a hero? So I blurted out, I said, it looks like McCain's going to get the nomination. And Rush immediately responded, then we're effed. And he actually said the word. That was the entirety of my relationship with Rush in person. But the man was a legend. His ability to speak the truth the way he did and to affect millions of Americans, it is because of him and because of his voice that we still have a slim chance to keep the republic. It's an amazing thing. The one difference about conservatism today, which I find really interesting, when Rush came in '89 till recently, it was kind of the era between the communist empires, right? Because when you think of Buckley and conservatives before Rush, you think of the Cold War, and then suddenly that's over. And now, once again, we're facing a communist giant that is our enemy, that is making inroads all around the world and including domestically. And I think what's interesting right now is that the Conservative Party, we have the moral high ground. Years ago, the left had the moral high ground. I think we today have the moral high ground. The left has thoroughly embraced Marxism, cancel culture, stifling dissent, crushing free speech. I mean, we all remember when the left loved free speech. They loved that idea. Something has happened in America where conservatives now have the moral high ground. We care about the Uyghur Muslims being tortured and killed in China. We care about companies doing business with China and saying we don't really care what they do as long as we make a buck. That's not America. And I really think that thanks to Rush, we have a fighting chance to speak up against these moral horrors, and particularly the idea of stifling dissent in the United States of America. If we don't agree with you, we're going to demonize you, we're going to label you domestic terrorists, we're going to come after you, we're going to cancel you. Everyone knows, in part thanks to Rush, that that is fundamentally anti-American. It's not un-American.
Right.
It is evil. It's anti-American. And I really believe, because Rush educated a couple of generations of Americans, we have a future.
Dana, you feel the same way? I mean, and by the way, Eric brought up cancel culture, something you know a lot about. But he was like the original cancel culture, person for the left to go after.
Rush Limbaugh was the original alternative media. Before the internet exploded, before social media, it was Rush Limbaugh. And you would not have grassroots, you would not have the Tea Party, you would not have Newt Gingrich as House Speaker and the conservative revolution, and to this day you wouldn't have Trump without Rush Limbaugh. I mean, what he contributed to the conservative movement before the internet and before social media cannot be overstated. I mean, it just iconic. But yes, he was uncancelable, and that's what I really, really love about Rush Limbaugh. He was uncancelable. I mean, he had an audience of millions. I mean, everyone who is in broadcasting can credit Rush Limbaugh for their career. Eric, myself, Buck before us, who was just on Rachel with you, all of us, and every single one of us in some way tries to, and this is not, Eric, I'm not being mean, we all try to sadly imitate some point in some way Rush, but he was so talented and so iconic. And I know a lot of people on the left are saying some really nasty things, but you know what? I think that he would enjoy it. I think that he would kind of find that amusing, as we all should. But just what an American icon. Absolutely. But he was the original alternative press.
Yep. He was a national treasure. Eric, Dana, so great to talk to both of you on such a sad day. But, something for us to look really forward to is the future of conservatism that he really laid the groundwork for us to move forward with. So thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right.
Thank you.